Mike, and Sully. Can you name a more iconic trio? Well, at least in the Monsters Inc. universe, they're iconic. But what if I told you there's more to Monsters Inc. than there seems? Hello everyone, and welcome back to our channel. I'm your host Emily, and today we'll be counting down our list of the top 10 dark Monster Inc. theories that will ruin your childhood. Number 10. Boo is actually the witch from Brave. This is one fan theory that has gained a lot of traction, and I'm sure you've heard of it. It states that Boo in Monsters Inc. is the old witch in the Pixar film Brave. Now, Brave is set in Scotland during the Dark Ages, and the old witch is, well, old, so time travel is required for this theory, but hey, anything can happen. Time in the Monsters universe is a whole other thing within itself. Now, according to John Negroni, author of the Pixar theory, he says that the signs that Boo are a witch are all there. The keys to the witch's magic are will-o-wisps that she uses to employ her magical abilities. John wrote, "The theory is that Boo discovered a way to use doors to travel through time on her own, possibly by developing magic on her own. She probably went back in time to the Dark Ages to get more magic from the will-o-wisps. And why would she do that? To find her childhood friend Sully." Further fuel for this theory, in Brave, a wood carving of Sully is visible in the witch's workshop. This is cute and somewhat sad, but I truly hope this one is true and that Boo was able to find Sully. Number 9. How time works. Now, this is kinda a dual theory. There is proof that time moves slower in the monster universe, but there's also proof that it moves faster. For proof that it moves slower, people have said Boo's voice is more mature sounding at the end of the film than it is in the beginning. Sully seems surprised to see Boo at the end of the movie, and we as the audience do not get to see what she looks like. If monsters can slow time, it explains why they always elude parents. But on the other hand, for proof that time moves faster, a redditor said, "First, the monsters can scare hundreds of humans in a single time zone at the same time, which seems to imply that they can accomplish several hours worth of work in what feels like a short span to humans. Second, in the chase scene, Sully and Mike enter the human world and dart from closet to closet within just a few different houses, but Randell's place between doors and time passing outside the factory seem to suggest that these events are happening over a while. Also, banishment to the human world appears to be a significant fear for the monsters, perhaps because time moves so slowly for them in the human realm. Maybe time isn't linear in this universe." Number 8. Monstropolis Is The Afterlife. So the film takes place in Monstropolis, and some people believe that it is the afterlife for the forgotten imaginary friends mentioned in the film Inside Out. In Inside Out, we learn that everything forgotten gets dropped into the memory dump, then disappears forever. Bing Bong, Riley's imaginary friend, has his wagon thrown into the memory dump, but where does it end up? A redditor theorized that the monsters in Monsters Inc. are the imaginary friends that humans forget as they grow up. The creatures had to learn to live together and form a functioning society. But then they would have had to scare them, which I feel like is the opposite of what an imaginary friend does, so I'm not too sure how well this would hold up, but it's interesting to say the least. Number 7. Boo and Abby from Turning Red are the same. In one of Pixar's newer films, Abby was one of the most liked characters in Turning Red. She was one of May's best friends and one of the more outspoken characters in the movie. Like Boo, Abby had dark hair, wore purple overalls with the same print that was on Boo's door, and they looked similar. Another possibility that they were the same person was based on their personalities. In the film, Abby is immediately a huge fan of May, the massive fluffy panda, just like Boo has strong reactions towards Sully in Monsters Inc. Abby could easily be Boo as a young girl in middle school, and maybe that's why she was so unfazed by weird things happening, because she experienced something similar as a child. Number 6. Boo was from the past. Now, what if Boo's human world wasn't in the present day, but the past? There is a Pixar theory that says Monsters Inc. is set in an apocalyptic time from our view, and the human world is not another world, but the past. People believe that the doors the monsters use are a form of time travel. So the monsters travel through time when they walk through the door. Considering that the time in our world, the past, is the same as when Boo comes back, if the time machine puts Boo back in that time. Time travel definitely seems like a common theme within the Monsters Inc. universe, and I'm starting to believe it. Number 5. The monsters evolved from the animals that took over the world after WALL-E. This idea, part of John Negroni's theory of an unidentified Pixar universe, suggests that the monsters in Monsters Inc. were the natural product of evolution, developing from the animals that took over the planet after humans deserted it in the events that preceded the plot of WALL-E. Monsters Inc. then actually takes place in a super distant future, long after what transpires in WALL-E. Just imagine your dog like turning into a terrifying monster like that and scaring you every night. That just gives me chills. Number 4. Humans were dangerous. So in the monsters world, contact with humans is feared. The monsters are afraid of being near or touching humans throughout the movie, and you are led to believe that this is all untrue and that it's completely safe to interact with them, as Sully and Mike touched Boo many times and were fine. But those government monsters who wore hazmat suits had devices that could detect humans, and it made a clicking sound similar to radiation detection equipment. The very fact that these devices could pick up on nearby humans and or whatever they came into contact with is proof that they were emitting some form of radiation, and radiation is slow acting. A lethal dose of radiation takes days, if not weeks, to result in death. So the theory is that humans are indeed dangerous, as they are incredibly radioactive to monsters. Mike and Sully seem fine because they've recently been exposed, but they will surely die from exposure to radiation. Now the second movie is a prequel, and do you want to know why they didn't make a sequel? They couldn't, because Mike and Sully are already doomed. They will suffer from radiation sickness and die painful deaths. Number 3. Randell has been watching Boo for a while. The only reason Sully and Mike found Boo was because Randell was secretly doing his own experiments with certain doors. While some may have thought that Boo's door was pulled at random, a Redditor realized that Randell had been visiting or experimenting with Boo for quite some time. When they mention Randell's name, Boo squeaks and squirms and goes away. This proves that Boo was familiar with Randell. It's almost like this has happened before, and she knew Randell was there before anyone else. This Disney theory could change everything, because it means Boo was sadly more familiar with the monster world than Sully and Mike knew. This user also dives into how long he had been watching Boo, which is around 2.5 years. At the finale of the movie, Roz, the slug lady with the raspy voice, is revealed to be 001 of the CDA. She says 2.5 years of undercover work were almost wasted when you intercepted that child, Mr. Sullivan. Of course, without your help, I never would have known that this went all the way up to Waternoose. Now, this confirms a few things. Firstly, she's been working undercover there for 2.5 years, and that they were aware that people were being taken to the monster world, and it's even implied that they knew they were being used in some way. Randall's been kidnapping them as subjects for his scream extractor for a minimum of 2.5 years, and Boo was one of them. Number 2. Monsters Inc. is the darkest Pixar film. When people think of dark Pixar movies, they think of Up, Finding Nemo, and The Incredibles, but what nobody ever seems to mention is the scream extractor from Monsters Inc. Waternoose and Randall's plan included kidnapping and taking advantage of humans to harvest their energy, essentially using them as batteries to power their town until they inevitably suffocated to death from all the screaming. Sure, the machine was never actually used on a human in the movie, but the very idea of it is darker than all of the other Pixar movies combined. As Waternoose says, "I'll kidnap 1,000 children before I let this company die, and I'll silence anyone who gets in my way." It definitely goes darker than any other Pixar film. And coming in at number 1 is what monsters used before screams. It's said that before the monsters harvested screams to generate their city, they harvested human blood. Yep, you heard that right. Blood. Now, why do people think this? Well, it points to a Monsters Incorporated commercial playing on Sully's TV. In the commercial, we hear carefully matching every child to their ideal monster to produce superior screams refined into clean, dependable energy. Since the movie is heavily focused on how the city is now powered by clean energy, the theory suggests that Monstropolis must have previously been powered by a dirtier energy. Now, we have clean energy like our solar power, and dirty CO2 producing energy such as oil and coal. If clean energy exists in Sully and Mike's world, then it makes sense that the dirtiest energy was first used: human blood. Next, their screams are harvested instead as a cleaner form of energy, just like how we use renewables. Lastly, at the end of the movie, the cleanest form of energy used is laughter. Just like how our cleanest form of energy is solar power, the monsters have continued to move away from dirty energy as they discover cleaner forms. In summary, they went from harvesting blood to harvesting laughter. Now, this truly disturbs me, and I hate this idea, but it does make sense. Now, to make this point a little lighter, I give you the power generated from the terrified screams is measured in kilowatts. The power generated from lighthearted laughter is measured in gigawatts. Get it? Unfortunately, I didn't come up with this joke, but I wanted to end this video on a positive note. Well, that's all for our list of the top 10 Dark Monsters Inc. theories that will ruin your childhood. Sorry if I ruined your childhood, some of these were extremely dark. Do you think any of these theories are plausible? Let us know in the comments down below, and hey, why not like and subscribe while you're at it? I'm your host Emily, and I'll see you next time. Peace.